Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting for November 25th, 2024. We first off have a subdivision authority meeting, so we'll call that meeting to order and ask for a adoption of that agenda, please. Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item number 3, adoption of minutes. Any questions, concerns? I'm prepared to make that required motion. Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the Subdivision Authority adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of Subdivision Authority held on October 28th, 2024 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 4.1, TT 24-0-009 subdivision of Eureka Lot. Mr. Thibault.
Mayor and Council, I will have Ms. Selena Newberry and Chris Egan come up and explain what's going on with this particular subdivision.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newberry, Mr. Egan.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
So before you have a subdivision of a lot from our Eureka industrial area. So this one is in line with our area structure plan, and we are actually creating a public utility lot with this one as well, and a road right-of-way to extend 62nd Street straight up through to 80th Avenue.
All right, thank you. Nothing extraordinary there. The usual conditions.
Yes, and you will also notice a little later on today that we will be starting the rezoning process for this portion of Eureka to rezone it from urban reserve to medium industrial use so that future development can take place again as per our area structure plan.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? All right, so I'm prepared to make that required motion. All right, Councilor Ruffert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion that the subdivision authority approve subdivision TT 24-0-009 for block X plan 7819AQ and lot 5 block 4, descriptive plan 2010204 northeast quarter section 8 TWP 10 RNG 16 west 4th meridian number assigned civic address with the following 7 conditions.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And I just ask for motion to close the meeting, please. Councilor McLean, motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, we'll call our regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting to order. Ask for the adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3, no public hearings. Item 4, adoption of minutes. Item 4.1, minutes of regular meeting of council November 12th, 2024. Mr. Thibault.
Administration does not have anything to add to the minutes. Back over to Council.
Right, thank you. Councilor Bruin.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion we adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of November 12th, 2024.
Right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 4.2, minutes special meeting of council November 18th, 2024. Mr. Thibault.
Again, Mayor, there's nothing to add to these minutes, so back over to Council.
All right, thank you. Any questions, concerns arising? Someone prepared to make that required motion? Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council adopts the minutes of the special meeting of council held on November 18th, 2024 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5, business horizon. There are none. Item 6, bylaws. Item 6.1, first reading, proposed land use bylaw amendment 22-2024, redistricting. Mr. Thibault.
Again, I'll ask Ms. Selena Newberry and Chris Egan to come forward, Mayor and Council, for the explanation of the rezoning.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So, bylaw 22-2024 is a redistricting from what we would call residential commercial now. So this is a type of zoning that allows for commercial development in our residential neighborhoods, to institutional and recreational district, which allows for things such as churches and whatnot. This is coming about as a result of a subdivision we did earlier in the year, and that was the result of a land sale. So a portion of that was that it be rezoned so that they can develop it as they need to in the future.
All right, thank you. Any questions whatsoever? Counselor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is it common practice to rezone after the sale and not be prepared for what our lots are proposed to sell for?
Mr. Mayor, through to Councillor Sorensen. Yes, it can be done either way. With the previous subdivision that we did earlier in the subdivision meeting, it was easier due to the description and stuff to just do one whole parcel, and for speed to do it all at the same time. With this one, speed wasn't as much of an issue, and we're only doing the portion of the parcel that was subdivided, so we waited until the subdivision was done so we could have the proper legal description to put in the bylaw for that particular parcel.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right. Counselor Sorensen?
I was just prepared to make a motion.
All right, very well.
The council gives first reading to bylaw 22-2024 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 6.2, first reading for proposed land use bylaw amendment 24-2024 redistricting. Mr. Tebow.
We'll leave the same people in front of mayor and council, and they can go through this rezoning.
All right, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This rezoning or redistricting is the result of the subdivision we had earlier in our subdivision meeting. This one is, again, in line with our area structure plan for the Eureka area. We're just looking to redistrict it's actually one title, but it looks like two little parcels up on the north end there from what it's currently districted, where it's urban reserve, and to the medium industrial. Urban reserve is really restrictive zoning. It's designed to keep the area from developing in an unwanted way, to keep it kind of free so that when we get to the point of developing it as industrial land, there's not a lot of little mini developments that are out of line with the industrial area.
All right, thank you, Counselor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to administration. I guess that was forthcoming with my other question, is why aren't we zoning these lots or these parcels of land for what we're proposing our sale to? If it's urban residential and that's more of our Eureka Park, then we should probably look at rezoning the whole area. That would be something that I'm questioning, I guess.
So, Council and Mr. Mayor, we will be rezoning all of this land at some point over the next little while. We like to try and do it. Ideally, it's nice to have it done before the sales happen so that it doesn't slow things up. If you look at the description for this particular property, it is extremely long because this is a descriptive plan. So it is the most northerly 1,320 feet and blocks this and that, and then accepting this and taking this out. So we broke these up specifically just because the descriptions, they're all descriptive plans. They're very difficult to write out in a bylaw, and it kind of breaks it down. There is one other piece up in this area that kind of comes into play, and we have irrigation acres up here. And then when we rezone from urban reserve to the industrial, it triggers certain things that have to happen. So while we will rezone all of this, and it'll be as per our area structure plan for Eureka, we're just figuring out the irrigation pieces for the southern portion as we go, because we have to move some of these around and find places to put them. So.
All right, got it covered, Counselor Sorensen?
Yeah, just a comment, if we're
Okay.
selling it to someone and they purchase it, then hopefully it'll be zoned for
Right,
their
right.
use, intended use.
So I would just ask similar questions, so that can be done soon as per the inquiry and or suggestion. You talked about a little difficult in some cases, but can that be done reasonably easy?
So there are two approaches, generally speaking, in area structure planning. So the approach that we're taking is an acceptable notion when we have a general idea what we want to do. There's existing uses on the land. We simply preserve what's there until we start to go down the path of who will buy and what they're after. So it leaves things a little bit more open to start with. Another option is to put in the roads, subdivide the land and lots and be very specific and prescriptive. And in other words, you can buy what we're selling, zoned the way it is, because that's what we want. And if you don't like that, then you're not buying the land. So that second option provides more control, but less entrepreneurial and opportunity. So it's a balancing act. And for now, what you'll see, as Selena noted, that as this land is starting to sell and we start to develop the road network, you'll start to see us come forward with very specific redistricting to ensure that there are compatible uses, and that will be more restrictive, but it'll be somewhat self-evident and more prescribed. So we're moving kind of from one model to the more prescriptive model.
All right, thank you. Counselor Sorensen?
Sorry to drag this on, but I'm not familiar with this. Just the comment that urban restrictive is restrictive. And so if it's, my only comment is if we need to change it to light industrial or, a bit more accurate to help sell the lots, then that would be my suggestion.
So I think maybe I didn't explain the urban reserve very well. So urban reserve actually is a land use district, unlike municipal reserve, which is a whole nother thing. But with urban reserve districts, those are usually at the fringe of your community, and they're designed to just limit development. So there aren't many listed uses in this, and then you rezone from an urban reserve to whatever district you want it to be. So exactly kind of what we're doing right now.
All right, thank you. Counselor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I guess I just also had a follow-up question too. Can't you, since we are seeing more development in this area, don't you want to just technically rezone the whole thing? Even though you don't necessarily want to put in restrictive roads, can't you just go plop, we want to just rezone this whole area?
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, through to Councilor McCain, yes, that is a way we can go, and that is what we are currently looking at doing. So we've just started with this northern portion because we did have a sale up there that we need to get it started on. We have some sales, I believe, in the lower portion that might come forward, like a subdivision that's going to happen at some point in the very near future, and we would start the same process with that. But there is just that irrigation piece that we are also working with at the same time. So if we rezone all of the urban reserve in this area, we have to move all of our acres off of that right away. And so we're just in the process of figuring out what that looks like and where it goes. So once we have that sorted out, then we will bring the remainder through.
All right, thank you. Counselor Sorensen?
I just would make the motion since
All right,
I'm
sure.
the one stalling this discussion. Is it, that council gives first reading, or is that? Okay.
Yes, correct.
I thought I was mistaken. That council gives first reading to bylaw 24-2024 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. All right, on to item 6.3, proposed fee bylaw 28-2024. Mr. Tebow.
I believe Mr. John Orwell is going to lead the fee bylaw discussion. There was a paper handed out to everyone for item 6.3, which has one updated bullet at the bottom that had happened since we built the agenda.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roy.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of council.
Good afternoon.
Now, before you is the fee bylaw 28-2024. So this particular bylaw has gone through the first reading. I think it was on the October 28th. And it's been brought back because there's some areas that were not very clear. And part of it was also still going through the rec board. And I think before somebody comes in to explain a few things here, we'll be affecting Schedule A, Schedule D, and Schedule E. And I think I've already highlighted those particular areas to show you exactly what probably you might not have seen earlier. So if you could just go to the actual fee bylaw, I think I've highlighted the areas. And I think to get us started, I think the first part probably I will call upon the rec team to explain for us some of the changes starting from there. I think this is the ball diamond going down. And I think it will be affecting Schedule A, I think all through. And then Schedule D and E, I believe, is for facilities. And I think also public works. So the rec team probably, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
The rec board met and we did add another fee to, as Mr. Orwa mentioned, it would be our fall ball diamond fees. So those would begin on, as it's brought up there, they're half of what our normal fees would be for our summer fees beginning in September. And then I don't know if we need to speak to the other ones because I think we've already covered them, but this is the only additional one we've added, so.
All right, thank you, Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Mr. Martin. Can you tell me why the fees would be half for fall ball?
So it was just because at the beginning of September, all of our staff are no longer working anymore. They've gone more inside. So the waters in some of the fields would already be shut off. Maintenance levels have dropped. We're just dragging the fields as needed for the fall.
All right, thank you, Councillor Firth.
Sorry, just to follow up. So the service levels reduced, so we're reducing the fees because of that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, so I'm prepared to make the required motions. Oh, sorry, yeah, I guess, getting ahead of myself, you're right. Mr. Roy?
Yeah, there were also others there. There was also something on the summer games. And I think there's still more down there. Maybe just scroll for them.
Sorry, I thought we did that last meeting, sorry. So yeah, the summer games, to bring it in line with what the other municipalities have been charging, that we've gone up to $35 for summer games registration. And then the veteran banners, we've increased those $5 and $10 because the cost of getting the banners made has also increased. And so that's where that comes in. We also changed our deposits. We were finding that with some of the bigger rentals of our facilities, if they're using multiple areas, we could only charge $2,500 for the deposit. So if they had Kenmac, for example, if they were using multiple areas in Kenmac, we could only charge a maximum of $2,500 damage deposit. Whereas now if we add that per facility, we can charge per area that is being rented in an area like Kenmac, where it would be all the fields, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sorensen?
Thank you. And Mr. Martin, how does the deposit work if the town maybe is giving part of, or waiving some of, thank you, Mr. Councillor McLean, waiving some of their fees for the rental of the facilities?
We're not charging deposit for those when we waive it, because it's mainly on the town to maintain it and to help with the administering of the event.
Okay, so like if there's damage or, there's some type of insurance claim, how does?
We will just repair it in that case.
All right, thank you. Zena, got another question?
Well, no, that
No?
just
No?
doesn't seem fair that we're waiving the fees for the facility, but then there's a $5,000 damage to the facility, then it's the town's responsibility to repair it.
Yeah.
That's a really good question, actually. How would you navigate that?
I'm not 100% sure. There's a guy creeping up behind me.
All right, Chief Munsell.
Thank you very much. Those are really good questions. So in the example of us waiving a fee, majority would be looking at the grant fees that we've been seeing in the last little bit. So if there was damage, yeah, we do not take a damage deposit for those areas. We do waive that fee initially. And our hope is that that nonprofit, everything is going to go very well. And the areas of profit margin where they're using a large facility and large opportunity for damage is where we need to look at the fee. There's a lot larger opportunity for damage in those types of facilities and operations than you ever see in a nonprofit or small event. So we're only looking at the smaller events that we're taking the grant or waiving those fees for. Does that help understand that?
All right, thank you. Councillor Repper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brian, the facility maintenance $50 an hour, is that a new thing? Like, are you just upping?
That one's actually Chris's.
Okay, so that's.
It's not our facilities.
Oh, we're gonna get to that one. Okay,
Yep.
sorry.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I noticed that was discretionary whether or not to charge the damage deposit. So if you thought it was a higher risk event, you could say, no, we'll waive your fee, but you're going to have to put down a deposit.
Yeah, and previous to this, we weren't charging damage deposits at all. It was in there, but it was very small, and it didn't reflect a lot of the facilities that we rent. And really, some of the bigger events like Corn Fest and Corn Stalk have brought into light the thought that we needed to start charging more, just in case of the damages that we might incur with the larger groups on the fields and in our spaces.
And again, it's discretionary.
And it's discretionary.
So if you see could turn sideways, then, you can always require it.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
exactly.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? Okay, thank you. Mr. Roa.
Yeah, I think we just move to the next one. I think it's already on there. That is Chris area facilities maintenance. Then I think the last one will be on Schedule E.
Okay, Mr. Egan.
Thank you very much. So what you're just seeing in the facilities, public works, we're on a cost recovery basis when we do work external to the town's requirements. Then we have a fee schedule that allows us to recover both time, equipment, materials, and if we employ sub-trades, like other trucks or something like that, it gives us a way to flow through dollar charges to the organizers, to the people who are asking for the service. It doesn't happen very often because we're mostly 98% focused on our own facilities and our own infrastructure, but it does allow for those things, for those charges when it makes sense to go a little farther as a town when we're doing services to a house or something like that. Replace 10 feet of pipe instead of them bringing their own plumber in. They were there, we dug the hole to do our stuff, and then we can charge them back, so that an individual or group or person who benefits from that activity pays for it, and that cost isn't disseminated to all the rate and taxpayers.
All right, thank you.
So same principle that that I spoke to with facilities, with public works, with any of the operating departments, including water, wastewater. We're looking at cost recovery, and so that again the taxpayer, the rate-paying group, aren't paying for benefits to individual companies or individual people.
All right, thank you, Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Egan, who determines it's a warranty or not? What determines that? You know, when somebody runs over with the truck, I guess that's not under warranty, but they do crack, right? Because I got one in my house that cracks.
And so,
So is that under warranty then or not?
oh, I see. So if so if we damage the cart while we're picking it up and tossing it around with our equipment and machinery, that's one thing. It's typically if the material we believe is defective when we got it, and we gave you the cart, and then you operated the lid and the lid fell off because the plastic pieces were broken or something like that, then we would go back to the company that provided it and make a warranty claim. So you would pay when you damage your cart. The town pays to replace the cart when we damage the cart, and if the damage is just like your vehicle or something like that, it's the same principle. If it came damaged, then it's up to the company who provided the service and, or in this case, the cart, to provide replacement parts or materials, which they often do. They normally send us materials, and it's a 5-minute fix for us to put a new wheel on a cart or a new hinge piece. So it's fairly simple in that regard.
All right, thank you, Councillor Beckert.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as a follow-up, if I may. Sure. In my particular situation, my cart was perfectly fine until last winter was very cold and it developed a crack. Well, that's not my problem, is it?
Nope. Typically, as a town, we would replace it for you.
Thank you.
I'd be surprised if we didn't, but I'm kind of asking that with a question mark at the end of it. Did we replace your cart? Huh, we're tough. Council prerogative, I guess. It didn't come into play there.
So it's just a matter of that should happen, just that particular homeowner to ask.
Yes.
For that.
Yeah, typically
replacement.
we'll get calls from homeowners where their carts are damaged, and it's usually fairly evident what caused the damage by the marks on the cart, or if it's split like that, then we should have given you a new cart, unless this is still operational, and then we try and make things last as long as they possibly can. So.
Yeah, right. All right, thank you. All right, any other questions there? All right, thank you. Mr. Irwa.
If you look at the paperwork that was passed there, I think there's also another one that was added, and that is the Barnwell water rates. And I'm not very sure whether you want to speak to that, Mr. Chris, or...
I can speak to that. Do you remember what page that's on, Mr. Orwa?
No, it's not on the page. It's been added to the motion.
But it's in the fee bylaw on some page.
Yes.
I'm not sure
I
which
think
page
it's
it's on.
page,
Yeah. Okay, so I can speak to this one. When we first had set this rate, it was back in 2021, and we were to look at their rate every couple of years just to see when the SMRID rate goes up for us for the raw water, and this also includes maintenance and life cycle type activity. So the rate has been the same since 2021. And what you have in front of you is I think bullet point number 5 on the first and second reading, which is just updating the rate. So now it's 2024 rates for their water rate. I have conveyed that to Barnwell already, that there was going to be something coming. I didn't know what it was going to be exactly until we did the math on that. But I believe the rate is going up 0.1995 cents, which increases it to 0.1249 or something like that. For Barnwell. So that's the addition in the fee bylaw to the Village of Barnwell water rate.
All right, just roughly, what kind of percentage would that be? You know that off the top of your head, the increase?
It's a 19% increase
19%.
from 2021.
Okay.
So they hadn't had an increase in 22 or 23, and this is the new one for 24 into 25. So 3 years of divide that 19% by 3 years. For Barnwell, it equals about maybe a $2,000 increase per year based on their usage.
right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't quite understand. I kind of know my math pretty good, but I know a cubic meter of water. I know it's 220 gallons. I know that. So when you charge somebody 0.12495, what is that? Is that so many cents per cubic meter, or what is that actually? I don't quite understand.
So to arrive at that rate, Councillor Beckering, we put there's a few factors that fall into that rate. So there's the per acre cost of the raw water. There's life cycle costing, there's maintenance costing, and there's personnel costing that all fall into that per cubic meter rate. So the actual acre rate, I believe, was $70.50 per acre, which is now $84 per acre. And then we roll in the costs of the maintenance and life cycle based on the assets that are out there in our spreadsheet. The spreadsheet's not available here, but that's what rolls into that number. If that helps.
All right, Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you. As a follow-up then, this looks like it's pretty cheap, is it, or not?
Well, we recover the raw water costs. And then, after it goes to Barnwell, it hits their water treatment plant and they charge their citizens whatever their costs are to arrive at that number. I don't know that it's, I wouldn't say it's cheap. I think it's reflecting what it is that we have gauged for infrastructure that goes up to the point at which Barnwell takes it over. So from the Chin Reservoir to the Barnwell meter. And so I don't know what it was historically before we started doing this new equation, but it has progressively increased. It was cheaper than this, obviously, in previous fee bylaws. So the math is predicated on that same formula that existed prior to this, prior to me.
All right, Councillor Beckering.
Mr. Mayor, I don't want to kill this thing, but you said about $2,000 per year to cost additional to Village of Barnwell?
I think so, based on consumption.
That seems like it's crazy high. You're giving the water away almost. I like to know exactly the difference between the old price and the new price for the Village of Barnwell.
Sure.
Based on there.
We've got a spreadsheet for that, so I can provide that to council. Maybe not this very moment in time, but I sure can, yeah.
I would be appreciative of that. I'd like to get into that a little more. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, so I'm prepared to make the required motion. Councillor McLean.
Do I need to read all of the bullet points underneath it? That's fine. That council gives second reading to fee bylaw 28-2024 as amended to add fall ball fee under ball diamond schedule A, add per facility to the discretionary higher risk special events deposit schedule A, add facility maintenance personnel at $50 per hour schedule D, add replacement carts not covered by warranty schedule E, increase Barnwell water rate to 0.12495 per cubic meter schedule E.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried now, so thank you. And the next required motion, please, Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council gives third and final reading to fee bylaw 28-2024 as amended to add fall ball fee under ball diamond schedule A, add per facility to the discretionary higher risk special events deposit schedule A, add facility maintenance personnel at $50 per hour schedule D, add replacement costs not covered by warranty schedule E, and increase the Barnwell water rate to 0.12495 per cubic meter schedule E.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? Councillor Sorensen?
I was wondering with the request from Councillor Beckering if we should have the final reading before getting more information, or if you're comfortable making the decision now.
Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, Councillor Sorensen, I agree with you. That $2,000 really bugs me because I think it's, for the size of the Village of Barnwell, that is a tremendous amount of money. just off the top of my head, I would say that's crazy, but I'd like to have the numbers, if I could, please.
Then I will rescind my motion.
Just withdraw?
Withdraw.
All right,
Yes,
perfect.
that's the one.
Yep, that'll work. Perfect, thank you. Nothing further on that one then. All right. Moving on to item number 7, action items, third quarter financials, 7.1. Mr. T-Boy.
Again, Mr. Orwell will be leading this discussion. The third quarter financials was in front of the audit committee. Mr. Orwell will run through that and I'm sure ask for assistance from the audit committee.
All right, thank you, Mr. Orwa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Now, before you is the third quarter financial statements, of course, unaudited. That has already gone through the audit committee. And I think, as usual, before I give the audit committee members, because that's where I spend a lot of time, I just wanted to draw your attention again to what they call the ARO, so that it doesn't scare people when you look at our balance sheet. So if you just take me to the statement of financial position. So when we look at the statement of financial position, this is just a snapshot of where we are if we were to close down. Now, if you look at that net financial debt, it's always net financial asset. But it's a debt because it's being driven by the item under liabilities called asset retirement obligations. And I think that's just to remind you the process we went through last time. But it doesn't have any meaning as such. It doesn't mean that we are 12 million under right now. And I think I wanted to make that very clear. If only Councillor Baker can agree with me on that. Apart from that, I think I'll just hand it over to the audit committee, maybe to take it over from there to see, because that's where we spent a lot of time.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was some very thoughtful discussion on our current financial statements. Things are looking good. There were no surprises. And our chief financial officer has taken advantage of some good interest rates. So that's a good investment on our side, which of course sometimes is short term, but we can appreciate the gain and the increase in value of our investments. And yeah, I would agree that it was a good discussion and I approve the financials as presented.
All right, thank you. Councillor Becker, anything to add? You're in, okay? Yeah, no, I would agree. Thank you, Councillor Sorensen. That's, everything looked very good. It was a very good discussion and a lot of good information. Mr. Orwa and Ms. Wise always make it relatively easy to understand if we have any questions or concerns. So thank you so much for that again, Mr. Orwa and Donna. All right, so no motion required in that regard. All right, moving on to item 7.2, rescind land sale motion 303-2024. Mr. Tebow.
So if council recalls, this was the land that was looking to be rezoned from an MR to something that was developable. We had our public hearing and council ultimately landed on not rezoning that municipal reserve property. So we did have a land sale that took place, which we now have to rescind the motion for. I'll let council know that we have worked out the particulars with the folks that we did sell the land to, and everything is back to the way it was before we started, and both parties are satisfied with the outcome of that. So this is just tidying that up and making sure we don't have a land sale motion with no land sale.
All right, thank you. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council rescinds motion number 303/2024 made on September 9th, 2024, which stated, moved by Councillor McLean. That's supposed to say McLean instead of McLeod, that council accepts the offer for 2.1 acres at 56th Street and 62nd Avenue, Tabor, for $210,000 and authorizes the mayor and CAO to sign the documents.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.3, Municipal District of Tabor Council Appointments. Mr. Tebow.
Mayor and Council, so each year, just as we go through our organizational meetings, so does the MD of Tabor. And so the MD of Tabor presents to Tabor Town Council the names they put forward for the various committees and ad hoc committees and boards and commissions. So before you is what the MD has put forward and just requires council's blessing.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? None whatsoever. All right, someone prepare to make the motion. Councilor Rumford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion that council recognizes the Municipal District of Tabor appoints to the Joint Economic Development Committee and the Municipal Development Committee. And number two, on the basis of recommendation of the Municipal District of Tabor Council, appoints municipal district representatives to town boards as follows. Town of Tabor Recreational Board, Brian Hildebrand and Merrill Harris as alternate. Town of Tabor's Arts and Heritage Committee, Merrill Harris and Tamara Mianaga as alternate. And Tabor Municipal Library Board, Merrill Harris.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.4, information for council. Mr. Tebow.
Okay, we'll wander through a couple of these information items. I'm going to do a lot of speaking tonight. So the first information item is regarding Councillor Firth's question, sort of a multiple, I guess, two-part question. One was looking at the public hearings and if they could be moved somewhere else on the agenda to accommodate the public in a bit of a better fashion. And the second part of that request was looking at electronic means for people to be able to chime in. So administration went away, did a little bit of research, and found that Bill 20 has mandated that we provide the electronic means. So we will be updating our bylaw to reflect that. We are still working on the location of the public hearing. Just got some more background and checking around with other places just to see how that might be best handled outside of the way we're doing it. The sort of third part of the electronic people being able to come in electronically, we do already have the means for that, so there's not going to be a financial piece to that. There will be probably some interesting meetings trying to figure out how to get people connected from one end to the other, because as we've seen, we've had troubles with people who actually know how to do it and have done it a few times over. So that'll be a little bit of a challenge, but we do have the means to do that. Item number 2, Councillor McLean had put forward a request around the No Whistletown bylaw, and we had researched this once before, so we were able to pull some of that previous information, and it looks to be about a $1 million touch. That's very high level. To be able to update what you see on there is those 5 bullet points that were in your package. So there will be some crossing updates required, I believe, for both vehicles and pedestrian, if I recall correctly. And there's a liability piece that the rail line likes to hand over to the town if they're not going to blow their whistle anymore. So that being said, this was just coming across as information, and we just didn't know if council wanted us to pursue something any further with that type of price tag on there. So let that simmer maybe for a little bit and have some discussion on that, unless council had some discussion they wanted to have on that right now before I move on to the next one.
All right, any question on that point whatsoever? Councilor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I was just a little confused as to that it would cost us this much, because I've seen other communities that have like no arms that come down. So I just thought like, oh, we have all our crossings protected already. So it just, in my mind, would already make sense that, you know, based on their laws of if the arms don't come down, then they do have to blow the whistle. But if the arms come down, then it's technically considered a protected crossing. So I guess that's just me where my misunderstanding came into effect, I guess, for the upgrades for $1 million. But
I don't think administration's mind was in a different place until we went and talked to CP, and they informed us that it's not a no charge item. We probably, well, I know I was surprised by $1 million as well, seeing that we actually have crossings in place. How inadequate could they be? But that's what's come back our direction.
All right, thank you.
And point number 3 was the last one to be mentioned. I don't know if council recalls or not, but there was a Apex youth group that came forward that we provided $1,500 for. There's a letter attached, and the group just wanted to point out that they're not having the gala that was in the original request. They're still doing the bursaries, I believe they're calling them, handing out in that fashion, but it wasn't financially prudent for them to go through with the gala evening. So they just wanted to make council aware that they still plan on using the funds in an appropriate way, just not having an actual gala evening for the group, for the recipients. And I believe that's it for the information to council. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Any further questions? All right. Seeing none, move on to item 7.5, department reports. We'll go through them individually. If you have any questions, please advise. First up is economic development report. Administrative services report. Councilor Sorensen.
Sorry, just going back to economic development, just through Coffee with Council, there's a few questions as to how people can be engaged with the communications of what's going on with the town. So I was just wondering if we could share some of those communications. Like, I know we do Facebook and the website and the Cornhusk Chronicles and the town of Tabor, the paper probably, but is there anything we're missing that we should be sharing with the community?
Mr. Tebow.
Right, the on-the-spot question. All the mediums that you mentioned are something that we do on a regular basis. We have an updated economic development page that speaks more to economic development with our new initiative that council had put forward for the, I forget the strategic plan, what it was actually called, but it was regarding communications. So there is that. You know, outside of the mediums that you've mentioned, it's hard to get. When I attended Coffee with Council, it's hard to get a good handle on the information that people are actually looking for. So I would say if they don't see it out there somewhere on some sort of social media platform or web page or our Facebook page, that they could always call in. But if we could get it, if there was some kind of report that we could fashion and build that they might be looking for specifically, we could certainly build something or anything to put out. But no one's really come to us, I guess, outside of discussing things with Coffee Council to build some kind of a specific report that speaks to whatever people are happen to be looking for. So I probably not a very good answer, but I don't really have anything else at this point in time to offer.
Thank you. And I just shared what we could, and I guess if there's more questions, we'll find out. We'll get the questions asked next time.
Just a clarification, I think we're also using our electronic signboard too, right, at the Civic Center?
Yeah, that's usually community-related events. I don't know that it's everything that everyone was maybe asking about, but certainly is another option, yep.
I guess if that's the case, then maybe that's something we could do, make sure those are advertised accordingly. A lot of people make use of that, rely on that as another form of communication. All right, Councilor Soren, that's good. Okay, thank you. All right, again, administrative service reports, engineering and public works reports, treatment facilities report, Facilities management reports. Planning department reports. Counselor Sorensen.
Sorry, I think you're just going faster than I can read
Okay,
my
that's all right.
notes. For engineering and public works, I'm interested in the final phase of east constructed wetlands, that it's completed. So is that the entire wetlands that's part of the SMRID or whatever?
Mr. Egan, could you come forward and elaborate?
Thank you very much. So the wetlands project is complete now, but that was the construction between the three partners, the MD, the town, and SMRID, of the land to the east of Highway 36. And so that all the civil work to create the ponds and the wetlands is completed now. And so we've moved to, there's always another phase, but it's a different project, and that's, we're now, we'd asked for a grant, and council gave approval to a STIP grant that would allow us to start some preliminary planning, which would bring the water south of Highway 3 in the town up to the wetlands in some fashion. And so that's the next step. Right now, that water all moves north to Highway 3, goes under the highway in 7 culverts, goes east along the ditch and crosses the Highway 36 and actually runs down and runs into the SMRID canal that cuts, sort of bisects through Atlantic. And that water all goes into Tabor Lake, and SMRID would prefer that our water off streets and such didn't do that, and so our desire is to reroute that to the wetlands. We have a little bit of a challenge to get it there, but there's a couple of options, and we're looking at studying the various options now with that grant, should we get it, and coming up with a sort of another direction, which will create another project request to do for more capital funding to make those changes. The other thing that's going on, or that will go on, is we have an area structure plan that we had budgeted last year in 2024, but without a planning manager, we haven't undertaken it. That we'll do in 2025 for that commercial area south and east of the existing town. And that's where a good portion of the water collects and moves into the Highway 3 ditch. And so so those are kind of the what's happened, and what is going on for the future, or what our plans, Public Works plans are for the future.
I appreciate the update, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, again, planning department reports. Fire department reports. Finance department reports. CAO reports. And recreation department report. All right, no further questions, no motion required. Moving on to item 7.6, Mayor and Council reports. Councilor Sorensen, could you start us off, please?
Sure, it was a busy month. Went to the Tabor Chamber, attended the audit committee, had a rec board, art and heritage board, special meeting here with council, and then the joint economic development. So it's always nice to meet with our surrounding villages and towns and see what they're up to. And it seems like everyone's very busy with their economic development or their housing redevelopment. So good to see, and always, yeah, good to see everyone. That's my update.
All right, thank you. Councilor Effort.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I went to the meetings I was able to attend. I went to the jingle sale we had. I hear Santa was there. I hear he's coming back next year. Make sure you come down, right? Check out Santa. Yeah. I seen Councilor Sorensen sat on Santa's lap, right? I went to coffee with council. It's good to see more people coming, right? I mean, you know, there's something obviously they want to talk about right now, but I hope in the future people keep coming, right? And if you want to see me ref hockey, it's pretty fun to come down out of the ring that I'm a ref. So think about that.
All right, thank you. Councilor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to report this last term.
All right, thank you. Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended all of the meetings I was required to attend as well. I had a virtual meeting with FCSS for a needs assessment study for our community. I also attended the Safe Haven Family Violence Prevention Walk, the Town of Tabor's Tabor Legion's Remembrance Day service, and the Thursday evening session of Coffee with Council, which was very busy, and we had some really good discussion that night. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing exciting to report. I did attend the meetings, except the Coffee with Council. I had a really bad cold, so I couldn't make it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have attended the meetings that I have been able to attend, dealing with a lot of sickness going through my house and me as well. I also attended the Remembrance Day ceremony held at here. And then also I wanted to mention with the JEDC, we are officially now a organization that can apply for funding and grants and stuff through us. And so if there are joint economic ideas that we as a town would like to see kind of move forward, then we have a different alley that we can then pursue that through, because now we are a body that can administer those funds. So just to keep that in mind going forward.
All right, thank you. And for myself, attended a variety of meetings and dealt with a lot of check and or document signing requirements. Attended the Tabor Legion Poppy kickoff at the administration office here. Also attended the Safe Haven Family Violence Prevention Walk and Declaration Day. I attended and participated in the Filipino fundraiser to support victims of Hurricane Christina at the Parallel Church venue. I also attended the Veterans Dinner at Tabor Legion, and I attended the Remembrance Day ceremony at the Tabor Civic Center as well. I also attended and participated in the Chamber of Commerce Winterfest and Jingle Sale. I attended the Kenyan Jumari 61st Independence Anniversary in Calgary, along with Mr. John Orwa, Chief Graham Abell and his wife Angeline. I attended the Tim Hortons and Tabor Food Bank Smile Cookie fundraising campaign last week. And I also hosted Ms. Lana Hansen and her W. Myers Christian grade 6 class visit, touring the council chambers and discussions with related to municipal government. I also attended the Thursday evening Coffee with Council at Parkside Manor, as well as the Friday morning Coffee with Council at Tabor Public Library. I did also attend the Star Theater fundraiser dinner event at the Civic Center. And I attended the UCP Grant Hunter MLA event, dinner event in Coaldale, along with the Minister of Justice in attendance as well. And that would be my report. Any other questions, comments? All right, moving on to item 7.7, standing item, council requests. Mr. Thibault.
Okay, 5 items on the list. Resolution 266 from Councillor Sorensen, still in progress at this point. Councillor Sorensen. Resolution 269 was completed at our last meeting, which was the flagpoles at our trout pond, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 295, again, Mr. Mayor, looking at the capability or feasibility of the installation of asphalt and concrete is still in progress. Resolution 370, Councillor Firth, we took care of that partially this evening for the video conferencing piece, and we're still looking into the public hearing piece, so that part is still in progress. Councillor McLean, Resolution 371, we did bring forward the CPKC big bad number this evening, so at this point we'll call that complete unless there's something further that Council directs administration to do at a later time. And Councillor Sorensen, the 56th Street flooding, the ditch that goes in between is still in progress at this point with administration. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Mayor and Council, and if there's anything to add.
All right, thank you. Any new standing item council requests? Councillor Sorensen.
Well, I was going to discuss the inquiries through Coffee with Council about the lighting and how, we can kind of let the public know which areas are going to be addressed and when, but I believe that we have some news from our Mr. Darren.
Yeah, we do. So I sent out a link to council just earlier today. Our communications group and public works group put together a little something that shows the plan that council had approved a while back. So $85,000 worth of streetlight upgrades this year, looking at the places that were the darkest from the MP engineering study that we had done. I believe it was MP. And so we're working through those areas. And so there's a new web page available on our main site. I think it's under your government somewhere. I don't know if it's available to the public just yet, but I did send it to council to have a peek at it. That just kind of outlines what the plans are going forward, the costs and the locations. So hopefully that's helpful. That was already in the works with administration, so we didn't just magically produce that because of what was going on with Coffee with Council just 3 or 4 days ago. If that could happen that fast, we'd be magicians, but that was already in the works. Just happened to line up with that timing.
All right, thank you. Any other standing item council requests? Great. See none, just ask for a motion to move into our meal break until our delegation attendance at 5 p.m., please. Councilor Beckering, all right. Motion on the table, all in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Ian, please. Moving on to our delegations, item 8.1, delegation City of Lethbridge's physician recruitment initiative letter. Mr. Tebow.
So we've got Mr. Blaine Hagan here and Gerald Gauthier, and they're going to come up and go through their slide presentation for council around the physician recruitment letter that was in your package.
All right, thank you. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Come on up. Mayor Higgin, Mr. Gauthier, welcome. You just need to turn on the mics there, whichever one you're going to use there. You don't have to stand. You can sit if you like, but yeah, I believe so.
Perfect. Right, well, thank you very much, Mayor Prokop and council for having us here today. And I know usually I'm walking around introducing those that were with me, my colleagues, but I think they sent me out here by myself with my compadre here. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be able to talk a little bit about physician recruitment today. Obviously, it's when we talk about physician recruitment, we've got a big focus on the region, and we've seen so many times when we meet with government representatives from the Alberta government or federal for that matter, they really focus on region. So we want to make sure that we're out and about talking about this as a region. So, scroll down. It's or over. So our presentation is going to cover, as you see here, the recent updated advocacy plan, recent developments that have had some positive impact on physician recruitment in our communities, and of course the current challenge that we're facing, and everyone seems to be facing, and why this issue is important to Taber, and what we're requesting today. Gotta be on it. So in July of 2024, our council updated our physician recruitment advocacy plan to focus on physicians in specialty areas. So we had a little bit of recruitment before, it was on family doctors, and of course, we can never have enough of them, but we wanted to focus a little bit on specialty areas because of some recent pending departures of key specialists. So as there's a number of specialty areas in Lethbridge that require recruitment, it's important that we address this challenge by encouraging and of course supporting provincial efforts so it doesn't become a crisis. It seems it's already at that level, but we don't want it to get any worse than what it is. We recognize that when Lethbridge Hospital gets a specialty doctor, of course the whole region gets a specialty doctor, and this is of course why we're here today. We believe that the physician recruitment in our region will be more effective with collaborative effort, and previous partnerships and collaboration contributed to the establishment, of course, of the Rural Medical Education Program facility at the University of Lethbridge, which is absolutely super exciting. So there is progress being made. Some of the recent progress, we saw a net increase of 22 physicians from 291 to 313 between September 2023 and September 2024. So we're gaining doctors, but of course, as I mentioned, we could always have more. We don't want to take the foot off the pedal, right? So the last few months have brought to light that we need to increase focus, and of course, not just your family physicians, but into the specialty areas. So the pending or recent departures of specialists is contributing to the physician shortage that we are experiencing throughout the region. So we've identified 9 specialty areas that require recruitment. It's important that this challenge is quickly addressed before more areas experience the shortages. So HS stats show that more than 500 Taber residents visit the Chinook Regional Hospital every year, and failure to address this challenge could lead to a critical situation where residents of Taber would be unable to receive the specialist care that I think and we all believe that they require. So today we're requesting that you support our initiative by signing the draft letter that we had sent back in October. Collectively, I think our communities, we represent over 150,000 within the region. And by working together, our region will have a stronger voice, of course, and allow us to better address the common challenges that we face. And so that is the presentation. But again, I do want to thank you all for giving us again the opportunity to come out and talk to you about physician recruitment, and we appreciate all paying so much attention. This is great. I've never been on this side. I got to tell you, the first time to be on this side was last week. We presented to the county as well. I'm like, wow, this is a little stressful on this side. Now I know what it's like. So,
Well, thank you, gentlemen. You're doing quite well. Thank you so much for your presentation as well. Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, gentlemen, for the presentation. If you thought that was stressful, wait till I ask the question. Comment first. I think it's very sad that we as municipal leaders have to address this issue, which is totally outside of our responsibility and totally outside of our mandates. But nevertheless, that's what it is, right? I've been 20 years in council, and it just pisses me right off. Pardon the language, Mr. Mayor, that we have to do this. Question is, challenges. I notice that you have a shortage of all kinds of different specialties. I don't see an oncologist in there. Is there a reason for that, Mr. Mayor?
there are. This is all of them. As a matter of fact, I think another one that was not in there, I think, was the child. Is that? Do we have that one in there? Child. Oh,
Child development.
pediatricians. We didn't have. So this is specialties require attention and advocacy include. So there's more to them than that, of course, for sure. And you're right. Oncologists. Is a very large one, as well as the. Now we've got the mental health for a child, so that would be, of course, the psychologists and amongst others. But it's any specialty service.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. And just a curious question, you've presented just to the county of Lethbridge, did you say?
Yes.
Only so far? So they're very receptive to this as well?
We've got the
Understand the
support
concern.
from them, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect, that's great. I hope that's across the board, all the way around, for sure. It's definitely much needed, for sure. And as Councillor Beckley said, it's sad that we've got to go this route, but it sounds like it's a very viable need to do so. So thank you so much for your presentation once again. Do you see anything that could hold us up beyond what's already happening from your perspectives, for anything we may not know about in that regard?
No, and I think that, and I really like the points that Councillor Becker made, that this is a downloading I'm seeing, and it's really unfortunate. We're seeing more and more of this, and I know you'd see the same thing as, and I wouldn't be preaching to a choir. Pretty much everyone from RMA and AM says the same thing, and so of course you get rid of the grant in lieu of taxes amongst many things, and it leaves that on the municipality. The unfortunate part is those citizens that require the health care are within our municipalities. We try the best to do what we can, and the tough part is once you do it once, guess what? You're going to do it for good, and it's pretty unfortunate. However, I think the more that we have on being the regional approach, Your Worship, is I think it's going to be. It's that much more powerful. This is a region that I know that this particular government is very fond of making sure that. I mean, all governments are fond of. I shouldn't put it that way. That wasn't very nice, was it? But as far as the support that is within our regions, I think they want to do what is best. And I've had the opportunity of speaking a few times over the past couple of weeks with the Premier about this and the importance of it. And so we have seen I'm sure I don't know if everyone has heard, but we do have the Cath Lab we have some funding for that, and that is moving forward to planning stages here now, which is absolutely exciting. There's just too many folks that are on the road that are with heart disease, heart issues, and we just don't need to have that. And so it's a great start, but there's a lot more specialty services that we need.
On that note, Mayor Higgin, is there some timeline that you're expecting that may be able to be officially opened up and
well, that's what I'll tell you. What Dr. Zelke, if anybody knows Dr. Zelke, I'll tell you what, that lady has got she does not take no for an answer. Just put it that way. We've been up to Edmonton a few times on road trips, and she doesn't leave without getting an answer. And when she first started, just a little sidebar here is she had started off with there was no cardiologist 9 years ago in Lethbridge. She was the very first one. She came down to give this a whirl, but I think I'll be back in Calgary. She loved the community so much. We're now going to be up to 8 cardiologists by next April, I believe it is, and that's honestly in part and majority to the work that she does. Is her recruitment and retention levels are phenomenal, and so each time we're up there and we've asked in the years, you know how government works, we all do, takes so long to get anything done. But she's not taking that for an answer, and I know I sit on a board with her, a cabinet, and we're advocating for quicker timelines. We have a hospital that's there. We've got 2 floors that are empty right now. Could be so much quicker than we believe. Years with a few S's on there is what they're saying, and we just think it could be much quicker.
All right, thank you. Counselor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I was just wondering, I've been to a couple South Grow initiatives, and there was discussion as to educating and retaining those educated in your area. So have you discussed any programming with the college or university and maybe helping alleviate some, and actually retaining some students in the area in this field?
Thank you, Council. What a great question, and this is where I think the medical training facility that will be going into the university is going to make a huge change. It's anecdotal, or actually data shows that when you study in an area, you get fond of that area, and especially doctors. They might be studying 6, 7, 8 years in one particular community, where they get attached to that community, and they might think that they're going to go quote unquote home. And we do have a lot from Lethbridge that families that you'll have grandpa, dad, and son now are practicing, and if you can keep them studying within the community, the chances of them staying is that much greater. So to your point, Councillor, I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do, as well as with the nursing program and with right now the nurse practitioners, some of the different programs that they have going with them, and the work that's being done on that level is going to be a game changer really for some of the rural areas, but not only that, helping out with specialty areas as well as a nurse practitioner. So I think keeping them in studying here, the chance of us retaining them post education is definitely important.
All right, thank you. Counselor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing but good things to say about this. I am in full support of this, and I think it's a great idea that you guys are trying to do a regional approach for this. I have a ton of family that are physicians and within the medical field, and I can see the burden that it's placing on them and how great of a need this is. And I feel really bad because we are kind of like falling behind in this area for sure, and it's too bad that there wasn't foresight on the side of others when all of these millennials or baby boomers are retiring, and we didn't have enough to kind of fill all those positions. So, but hopefully this can do something for this area, because it is definitely, there is a huge need for it. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, any other discussion for council per se? Someone prefer to make a motion? Councilor Firth? Either or? All right.
Okay, I move, oh, hang on. Thank you. I move the council authorizes the mayor to sign the advocacy letter presented from the city of Lethbridge for the physician recruitment initiative.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
And best of luck with everything else going forward.
I'm ready to put on my hand. Sorry. Did you see it kind of go up? I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
I would have called you on that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you again, gentlemen. You bet.
Thanks for the drive down. We could have answered you on the phone probably. So. No, it's great.
That's right. No, thanks so much for doing this, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
We zagged when we should have zigged. Come in, so maybe we'll zig instead of zagging.
Give them a police escort out of town.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Tebow, next is any media inquiries?
There are none.
None whatsoever. All right. With that, I'd ask for a motion to move into closed session then, please. Motion on the table, all in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you.